What can we talk about that's new? I think we'll just kind of want to talk about things that we've talked about before.
The number of
How many how many distractions do you have? How many apps do you have open?
oh my
How much
God.
sleep are you running on? I got a fresh cup of coffee right here. What time is it? It's almost 5
The guy at a
p.m.
fizzy pop. Actually, funny enough, as I was getting ready to prep for coming in to record, I was thinking, oh, I've got coffee left over. I'll go down and make myself an iced coffee. Right as I get downstairs, my wife's pouring it down. I'm like,
Refill the IV bag.
that was my lifeblood. Where'd it go?
Get me a caffeine drip stat.
So I was on a factory tour last week,
Factory of what?
factory of glass.
Oh, look at you getting out,
Yes.
getting out and seeing how things are
Getting out
made.
and seeing things. Well, specifically, I was going to review a replacement glass for our vestibule at one of my projects that
Because?
had an inner layer and printing and everything else on it, and the inner layer of the first glass that was shipped to us started to kind of like pull in. So when you had like a butt glazed system,
Yeah.
it started to peel away. And so you saw like little gaps in the inner layer, which it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to go look seamless and smooth straight across. Not that nobody's really quite sure how or why that happened. But then as we were all reviewing it in place, we rejected that glass there. And so but also the printed image on there was smaller than what the shop drawings call for, like considerably smaller. And so in this big, ginormous space, this text was supposed to actually be reasonably large, and it was not. So fast forward to last week, we're reviewing it again. Different shop, different glass manufacturer. Everything looked perfect. Except the text was the same size as the rejected one.
Didn't get the memo.
We feel like there may have been the art that was supposed to be sent to the manufacturer was the wrong file again. Or when somebody was converting it from the vector file that we provided to a PDF print file for the manufacturer, somebody might have hit scale to fit or something, which would have reduced it down. We're not quite sure. But
Yeah.
a lot of people showed up to inspect and review this, and it was a pretty quick meeting and this was in Canada. So we had to go to Canada to look at this, and then unfortunately we had to walk away rejecting it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That seems like a unfortunate series of events.
It is, and
Like, can't somebody just send a picture first and say, like, do we need to go actually do a visit?
well, we were inspecting the whole thing because they were getting ready to ship it. And we made the arrangement with them previously that we want to inspect it before we like physically inspect it. We want to look at the way that it comes together. We want to look at all of the issues that we had with the previous one. We wanted to make sure that this one, everything was perfect except for, unfortunately, the scale of the text. And it just meant that somebody was circulating around the wrong print file. And
Still.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a piece of glass that's 8 feet wide, single piece of glass, 8
Yeah.
feet wide by 14 feet tall.
That's a big piece of glass.
It's a big piece of glass.
They
Oh,
could
big
do
piece.
something with that. They don't need to throw it away.
Well,
Send it, just strap it to the top of your Jeep and you could drive it home and use it for something.
I'd fly away.
Yeah. No, it's a rain shield. I don't know.
There
It's
you
something.
go. Exactly.
So you say, like, I took a trip to Canada. Obviously Canada's closer to you than it is to me.
It is.
But of course you drove because that's what
course
you
I
do.
Well, my last week was I drove from Detroit to Baltimore were punching the building out in stages. And so the next phase of things were ready to punch. And so I went out and helped the team because there was a lot more than like they normally, usually staggered enough where the on-site team can handle it all.
Yeah.
But because we're getting to the end and they're trying to pile everything in there and say, okay, Evan, you could punch like 5 floors in a day.
Here's your
right?
deadline tomorrow. You got 24 hours.
Exactly. Right? So I went,
time's ticking. Building's got to open.
And nobody wants to get blamed for delays.
This always happens. It's like you run up against that end deadline, and it's like, hurry up and punch the building. And then, okay, you do that. And they still don't take care of the punch list items because the building's got to open. And then they got to go at night. Like, it's such a mess.
What do you expect punch ready to actually be when you would go to see something? What is punch ready?
Punch ready should actually be like here we did what was on the plans. That's what punch ready should be. Yeah.
And to like, we looked at it and there's no like scrapes or scratches or dirts or else, you know.
No, it's ready for occupancy.
It's ready
That's
for
what punch ready is. Yeah.
Or maybe not so much.
Not so much usually.
Or not so much. And so then I went from there to then started heading north from Baltimore later in the week to head towards Toronto, which actually I was at first told, oh yes, it's just outside of Toronto. Yeah. 2 hours north outside of Toronto. So not only is it from Baltimore to Toronto that I was looking at was a 9-hour drive. Well, tack on a few more. Oh, and don't forget that you've got to hit all these different like traffics.
That's cool. You've got full self-driving, right? You can get work done while.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. You're a bleeding edge technologist.
Regret it every second. I'm like, wait, why? Why did I choose to drive? Like,
then to find out the text is too small.
Yes. Only to find out that the text is too small.
Just to find out you actually have to reject it.
Because you did receive a few images from last week on my drive. I decided
you squeezed a few extra things in.
If I'm gonna be handed lemons, I am gonna make lemonade. And I did. I made some.
Look at you.
I made some Frank Lloyd Wright and Louis Sullivan lemonade. I got to see the Darwin Martin House.
Which is where?
Which is in Buffalo, New York, just at the border of Canada and the US of A. And went and said, hey, I've still got time. And literally caught the very last tour right before I crossed the border.
Nice way to break up a drive.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And then I'm like, what? It is 12 minutes from that house to the Guarantee Building, Prudential Building, whatever it was originally, the Louis Sullivan Building in downtown Buffalo. And so I got a chance to go see that, which he's pretty high up there on my favorites list. Mm-hmm. I mean, he shares the number one spot. As you know, I always call my number one is Louis or Louis.
I was going to say, how many number ones are there in your...
There's two number ones.
2 number ones.
Louis and Louis. Now, I've now found out that I cycle through 2 through 5 in my top 5 list, that sometimes it's this person or that person or this person.
Yeah.
Ooh, don't forget about this. It's like, don't forget about that guy.
Depends on which way the wind's blowing. Okay, so don't mention the other name of the other Louis. Our listeners should all leave a comment on the YouTube video for this episode and tell us, who is Cormac talking about? Like, let's play a little bit of Jeopardy here.
Yeah. Because
is it Louis?
Where is it?
Got to provide a last name, listeners. Who's he talking about? What?
I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, good.
But there will be hints. There will be hints.
There have been hints. If you're a loyal listener of the Archispeak podcasts, then you will know the answer to this pretty almost immediately. Who can be the first? I want to know who's going to be the first person to comment on the Archispeak podcast episode post for this episode that goes on to LinkedIn. Not my post about it, not Cormac's post about it, the actual Archispeak podcast page's post about it, which is full transparency, an automated post. It's very short. It's just like, hey, we did something.
Right.
Here's how you can know about it. That's the post we'll use as the test to see who can be the first. Get a shout out on the next episode. How about
there
that?
We go. And
like that.
You and I are
so everybody who sees the right answer there. I mean, maybe the wrong answer is there. It's got to be the right answer, the first right answer. And if you see them, I mean, yeah, you might as well not even comment if you missed the boat. But
there you go. I'm
just gonna throw it out there.
But what was fun about that? So as we're talking, and they're just like, they asked me, they were like, "What?" Because I was like the last person in there and practically the only person left walking through the building. All of the docents that were in there, they're all volunteers, and that I volunteer for something every year, which will be coming up in about a month for me for another volunteer where I'll be volunteering at the Frank Lloyd Wright House and Studio in Chicago, Illinois.
Ooh.
At the Wright Plus event. So anybody,
because that's just a jaunt from you.
It's about
compared to driving 2 hours north of Toronto.
It is. Yeah. It is. Chicago is the exact same distance and time away from me from Toronto. So
from where you are now,
from where I am now,
which is how far from where you are now? It's not 11 hours.
I'm right here.
You were in Baltimore. I know you were there. How far is it from you?
Well, so in both directions, it's 4 hours to Toronto, 4 hours to Chicago.
Okay. The lengths you will go to volunteer for architectural nerdery.
Exactly.
4 hours, easy. That was an easy yes for you.
Exactly. 4 hours? Sure, I'll be there.
No problem.
When you need me to be there, I'll be there.
I mean, the crappy thing is, if you were going to fly to Chicago from Detroit, it would take just the same amount of time.
Absolutely, because I'd have to get to the airport,
welcome to the airport circus,
and funny enough,
all the security theater and all the time to be there headed. What a mess.
With everything going on now, to be quite honest with you, that's probably one of the reasons why I kind of avoided flying this time, is because everything at Detroit Airport, at BWI in Baltimore, they were just messes. So honestly, I kind of wanted to avoid it and make that. I mean, I regretted it because I got an old crappy car that didn't have heated seats or anything else and no real luxury. I mean, come on. But
at least you weren't putting more miles on your car.
True. I am now refusing to do that. If it's traveling for work, I will rent a car.
Like how long did it take you to refuse to do that?
10 years. 10 years.
Jeez. Okay.
Or more. Just 10 years for here.
Okay, so tell us about this Frankie Lloyd Wright house that you visited.
Well, one of the interesting things about it was, so like I kind of came in and they're like, "Well, are you familiar with Frank Lloyd Wright and his work and stuff like that?" And then of course I had to go all geek out and stuff. And by the end of my tour, I was teaching all of the docents, and I literally had 5 ladies,
which is fair, like they're volunteers, right?
All circled around me, and we're sitting here having this great conversation about architecture, and here I am like espousing all of my nerddom, like
Uncle Cormac.
Yeah. Come on now, gather around the fire. Let's
pull up a chair.
Pull up a stump.
We're going to be here a while.
Yeah, pull up a stump. And it was just like, I apologize. I know that you're done for the day. I'll leave you all alone.
But,
like,
no,
no.
You have some things to learn. Let me.
No. They were like, no. This is interesting. We're like, okay. Well, you
can't refuse that either.
Yeah. It's like when I volunteer at this Wright event, I'm probably going to be reminded that this is timed events in tours, and they need to cycle through.
It's like falling water. Yeah. You got to keep moving. Yeah.
You got to kind of keep moving. And I think I told you, like last year's event, they kept doing this to one of the volunteers. They kept doing this. They're like, "Come on, move it, keep going."
Stop talking over there, motor mouth.
Yeah. And guess who that was?
No,
yes.
I directed that exactly in your direction.
Yes, it was me. Like, how are you going to like architectural nerd professor and just love to sit and spin yarns about like architects and all this other stuff. And here I am, and like all the people wanted to hear it, so I gave people what they wanted.
I feel like some money we're leaving on the table here is what kind of AI images can be generated from these kinds of stories that are shared. I can just imagine. I mean, you've said so many key phrases so far. Pull up a stump, to listen to Uncle Cormac talk about Frank Lloyd Wright. I mean, you've got this pointing at the watch, like, settle down over there. It's time to keep moving, Mr. Like, I could just see our audience has such amazing content.
Are you really going to unleash them on me?
I feel like I
think you just did. You just did. Thanks.
Tag Cormac in these. It would be fantastic. There's so much good stuff here.
Yeah. No, actually, it's going to be fun. And so what was interesting is the one thing that I didn't actually know about the Darwin Martin house. So Darwin Martin house built in 1904 to 1906, amazing Prairie style home. You look at homes like this and you're like, why are we building stuff like this now? Here we're talking about...
Because it's too expensive.
124 years later,
right?
Or 122 years later, and we're still unable to like build things like that. I mean, you and I've got a friend.
What do you mean unable? Like what's an example of something
we're not unable, but we don't seem to, because everybody says, what is the return on your investment? What, like, oh, you don't want to spend that kind of money. You'll never get your return on your investment. And you're like, investment? This is supposed to be that, like, this is your home. Love it. Give it, like.
Spend all the money.
Spend all the monies. Like, if you get the return on your investment, great. If you don't,
I mean, this is one of the things we talked to Anthony Laney about, right? Like finding even a contractor who's willing to do the kinds of things that you're talking about is a huge deal. And then once you find them, it's like you have to really work on maintaining those relationships.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things that I did not know about this house was, I did know that it was his largest Prairie home, and not the companion, but just the Prairie home. For those who would know. Anyway.
For those who would know.
But
that was a reference.
There was about 50% of what's there now was not there when the foundation and the university took it over. And they've spent millions of dollars doing a careful restoration, renovation, and recreation of the full Darwin house.
Is that because the original contractor never finished their punch list items?
True. They said that it fell into quite disrepair. It was basically abandoned for years. It was slated for demolition, which just would have been an absolute shame, because, I mean, it is absolutely amazing. And I have not posted yet to my Instagram, so it'll be a latergram. But I will post before this.
I don't know if you know this, Cormac, but Instagram is now strictly a video sharing platform. No more pictures allowed.
Yeah, well,
I mean, people on Instagram,
I was not allowed to take pictures. This is another one of those Frank Lloyd Wright houses that you're not allowed to take pictures inside. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, because the flash on your phone that you're not going to use is going to ruin something, or what? I don't know. I don't know why. What the reason it is literally one of those things that for some reason I start to go borderline care. Really? Why can't I take pictures? Actually, I joked with. I was joking with them. They're like, nope, can't take any pictures. I'm like, oh, no, trust me, I understand. I'm like, did you guys ever notice that over there? And everybody looked over. And I was just like holding my phone when they turned back. I'm like, it's not odd, but it could have been. They're like, you're a jerk.
Give them all a heart attack.
Exactly. It was like,
I mean, if you're teaching them stuff at the end, they should at least look the other way.
I was just like, all of this like knowledge that I shared with you all, and I still can't take a single interior picture. They're like, hey man, come on.
Should have got that. Should have covered that up front.
Exactly.
Hey, here's what we'll do. I'll do this if you'll let me.
I will spin some yarn.
Pull up a stump.
Get my little corncob pipe and tell you a story.
So what are some examples of the things that we don't build nowadays that you saw examples of?
So, okay. I'm glad you actually brought up Anthony Laney's that episode, because, I mean, I can retract that statement and say, no, we do.
but it's a small percentage of
but it's a very small, it is a very small percentage of we. And even though these were houses that were obviously out of the reach of the common home buyer, even back in the day, we still build at that level of craftsmanship for a level of home buyer that is not the common home buyer. And so it's interesting in a way, in a shameful way, I guess, that we're unable to try to figure out a way to kind of make some of like these higher end details more affordable. Now we could say for instance, you live in a house, you just moved into a house, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'd really like to zhuzh this up some. And you could go to Home Depot and buy some detailings and spray paint them gold, and then just like plaster them all over the walls.
And then I don't know if you can buy that stuff at Home Depot. Well, you can buy it at the thrift store. You could buy it at the.
No, some of those things that I'm referring to of a specific house that I've seen that more recently happened to.
Oh, you're throwing shade. I hear you. Okay.
Is definitely 100% a Home Depot thing, because
I was thinking Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Like you buy some, that's maybe
all of those would. All of those would make sense too. But these are definitely some wood trim. Just
okay, but like let's throw Frank Gehry into the rug right now and talk about his residence in Santa Monica, like the OG Frank Gehry remodel with the chain link fence and his comments about. He's like, the neighbors like don't like how your house looks, and did you ever see that interview?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? Like I see chain link fence and I see your boats and your cars and all this crap, and he's like, it's already here. What are you talking? He's in the neighborhood.
He's like, I'm just using what's already here, just in a different way. He was just like, I know that everybody hates this, but what on my house do you not see right there and right there and right there and right there? I mean, come on, like, and I loved it. I loved it. It was just like, what was interesting about that is like at first you was like, oh, he's just like being avant-garde. No, he was being a regionalist.
He was doing social commentary.
There you go.
In architectural form. Yeah. Yeah. AKA he was putting some zhuzh on his place.
He was zhuzhing it up with some chain link. And a diagonal up high and
corrugated,
some corrugated stuff,
cheap corrugated metal.
Yeah, but yeah. So I will say we were talking, and we kind of like started this off talking about like tabs and all of this other stuff being open and stuff. So at the glass manufacturer's factory, I go in and I'm meeting with like the senior project manager who kind of like runs all of the jobs and everything else throughout there, and I look into his office. 8 monitors. 8 monitors.
Wow. Okay. So you were jealous? What are you saying?
I was.
Were you thinking, how can you handle that much information? Like what's going on 8 monitors?
Jealous, dumbfounded, had a whole lot of why.
Yeah. Because you've talked about like this, you want what was the movie? You wanted the Minority Report. You've always talked about this idea of you've got them. You kind of have your magic gloves on right now. You could do some Minority Reporting. Yeah, look at you. Okay, so 8 monitors. What is going on 8 monitors?
I'm to be quite honest with him,
mining crypto and doing day trading and watching sports bets and then got some cameras on the floor at the factory and Gantt charts and
you would
everything.
Think, but I just looked at him like, why so many? He never really expanded on why so many. Just like he's productive that way. I'm like, all right. Like I am now regretting.
Look at me. I'm looking at all my 8 monitors.
I am now regretting that I have 3.
Fair enough here. I've got 4, 5, 6. I have 7 on I have 8 on my desk. They're not all on.
Right. So I have,
which is, I know that sounds crazy.
3 work. Crazy. So if you want to really, so I've got 3 work monitors that I put work on. Then I have an iPad on a stand that if I need to do something like, I don't know, Netflix or whatever. I mean, work. Did I pronounce that wrong?
How do you say it?
Yeah.
How do you say you said it right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you said it right.
and then my phone. So like if we want to talk about
I didn't even count the phone.
Yeah.
Didn't even count that.
Then now you have what, 9?
I didn't count the iPad either. Jeez. Whoa.
Now how much you got?
Got a problem here. 10.
I just hate
to. I didn't count the little screens on the cameras. I don't think those really count as
one of the things that I saw at this factory, and I should drop the name of the factory, but then the problem is that the one thing that I'm about to start talking about, they said they will never do again or don't want to do. But I'm like, but you can do it, and everybody wants this.
So you're going to peer pressure them? I'm thinking if you. Drop the name.
So they are one of the only people that can do a truly mullion-less, fully corner-glazed IG unit.
Okay, what does that look like?
It looks
so it's fully beveled with.
It looks as if, and I wish that I actually had
but they won't
on my computer to
they won't confirm this. They wouldn't confirm this if you were to.
They did it for a couple of special things that they were sort of like, it was an internal project. And so they created them, and I'm looking at them like insulated corner glazing. Look, we all try to do corner glazing and all this other stuff. We tend to now have like, it's either not a insulated unit, or it's a structural unit, or it's a mold unit, right? With the corners coming together on the outside, but you have a mullion on the inside. Mm-hmm. But never have I seen where you're staring at the corner of the glass and there is nothing but a real thin line that you can barely notice when you're staring through.
So is there a seal between the layers at that corner?
No.
Or is it? Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
No seal.
So there's no vertical line except for just how the glass is coming together.
Exactly.
So they actually manufacture it and put it all together, and it is a unit in its final kind of state.
Yes.
So it doesn't get glazed at the corner on site.
Absolutely. And now I'm going to have to, just for you, and then we might have to sneak it into this episode and then call them out and let everybody and their brothers, I want one of those.
I can imagine why they don't want to do it. I mean, it sounds super risky.
It is. Well, not only do they have to certify it and everything else, which they do.
They warranty it. The install would be a pain in the ass.
All of the above. All of the above. Now, could I have seen an absolute like in my current project right now? I could have absolutely used that because
what's
I've got
premium on this?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I could spend someone else's money big time on these kind of things.
Exactly.
So, have you seen any of these in the wild, or did you actually spot a unicorn here?
Oh no, this is a unicorn.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Look at you.
Check your phone.
All right.
And that is a complete and utter unicorn.
Should I hold it up to the screen? I mean, oh my God.
Right?
Whoa. I'm surprised they even let you out of the building with this photo on your device.
Oh, I told them, I was like, I have got to do that. They're like, well, we don't really want to do it anymore because of like, it's pretty involved. I'm like,
I mean, if they charged 5 times what they charge and people wanted it.
And
what
from the corner, they can go back 5 feet before you hit. Yeah.
Wow. Dang. And so this is dual glaze, just dual? Do they only do dual?
They can do triple glazed. They can.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And they can do like a printed frit in there. Not that you would want to mess up, you wouldn't want to cover the view, but you could do something cool.
The size of the glass that they have in this place is incredible.
That's one of the coolest innovations in the last, 20 years? Yeah. Is just the size of the... I actually had a guy on the Troxel podcast who is a structural engineer, and we were talking about cable net structures and structural glazing and all this stuff, and he was like, this is one of the coolest innovations in the because of a lot of work that Apple's done in this space.
Yep.
I mean, we've been to like the Chicago store and the Fifth Avenue store together.
They helped innovate the glass for those stores.
Nice.
They're doing the glazing for the Federal Reserve's skylights, which are the big, massive sheets of glass. I just sent you a couple of photos of like glazing.
Like, why is my phone buzzing? Okay.
Your phone is buzzing because there's a lot of, I'm showing you some glass.
Nice glass.
And so
there's a lot of glass under this roof.
There's a lot of glass under this roof. And it's amazing what they can do. They're showing us structural like glass stringers with.
How big are these ovens that they've got?
Oh, huge. We're literally easily talking about like 4-story tall. Like,
so what size sheets can they do nowadays?
So the largest,
never mind logistics, like getting it to the site. That's got to be a whole other thing.
That like the logistics of getting it to the site, you're like, how do you get a piece of glass like that, that tall, like to these sites? And why am I blanking on I know it was like 310 inches by something, and I completely forgot now.
So that's like 24 feet-ish? I don't know, like bigger.
Yeah.
25 feet?
Yeah. Like, so you would very much
mathing.
You would very much expect that when you have, like when you go to these like shops, that like the first thing that you see is them actually showing the glass, showcasing it in their building. And sure enough, you walk right in, their lobby is built out and it's got these large format glass. That's all they do. They don't do like little small units and stuff.
They don't mess around.
All they do is large format glass. And it is incredible what they can do.
There's got to be some huge amount of pride in that kind of work, right? When you're really pushing the boundaries of a material, I mean, there's got to be a lot of, I mean, you got to show it off. That's cool.
Yeah, so I might as well go ahead and give them a shout out. It's AGNORA.
AGNORA.
AGNORA. Yep. And
that's cool.
And they do like, so there was this one. So this, I guess, developer was trying to restore a building, and it was just outside of Toronto, that they were trying to restore a building, this old historic building. Unfortunately, the structure, the foundation, it was crumbling, and they really couldn't salvage it. And so what they ended up doing was they demolished it, rebuilt a new building. But what they did was they printed on the inner layer of the glass, they printed the old building on top of it.
Oh, interesting.
And I was just like, at first you're like, why would you do that? But then you look at it and you're just like, okay, I get it. And so the last thing I'm going to do and send you,
sending me more pictures.
I'm going to send you one more picture. Is this what looks like a reflection?
That's cool.
So now everybody who's listening to this is going to need to see all of these.
They really should have matched up the modules. I mean, they kind of did.
Oh,
they
please. I mean, don't get me wrong. I said the same thing, but just come on.
But then you really thought about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we have to put a couple images in the show notes for the episode.
We're going to have to put a couple of images. So as you, like, here's their, like, lobby space. As you walk into their lobby space, there's, again, this one big sheet of glass.
Yeah.
There is no joint, no nothing, no anything.
That's nice. That's nice.
And
you should remind the listeners where they can find show notes for our episodes that would include pictures like we're talking about.
You can find those at ArcSpeak Podcasts and look at the episode number of this one, which I don't know which episode number this will be.
This will probably be 388 is my guess.
388. And you will find show notes along with photographs and things like that. And if I was prepared enough, I would have probably shared my screen a little bit. But obviously, I'm still a little tired from the whirlwind of driving. So get off my back. Hey, geez.
Archispeakpodcast.com. You forgot the .com part because you got to tell people that it's an internet address. Yeah.
That is true. Archispeak.com.
Archispeakpodcast.com. Look at how tired you are. Jeez, put you to bed.
Do not listen to me. Which pretty much you don't anyway. I get it.
I mean, how could they not? You talk the whole time.
I know. That is true. Is Uncle Cormac done yet?
Nope. It turns out he's still talking over there.
Still got some yards to spin. But seriously, why 8 monitors? Why?
That seems like over. Like I said, I have a lot of monitors here.
But these are
they're not all even. I don't use them.
Monitor.
That's ridiculous.
And that's not.
But I mean, that's what it costs to do innovation. You got to have 8 monitors. You want to do Why isn't it? Why can't they innovate these monitors and make one giant? I mean, you can buy a big TV, but a TV is not a monitor.
But the whole thing about it is you want the partitioning of like all of that. You can do that on like the smaller ones that do like where you can have like 3 monitors on like that the long curved one.
No thanks.
But that's still,
Maybe I just don't have experience enough with those to see the value, but I every time I see those, I think, no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know why? I like cheap monitors because I can replace them with another one that's cheap.
Cheap monitor.
Yeah.
So you can spend more time and money on the guitars behind your head.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
I mean priorities, right?
Priorities.
That and a conversion.
And
a camper
and
conversion.
Tools and toolboxes and things like that. Yeah.
Toolboxes.
Yeah, we should talk about that maybe on the next episode. We can talk about stuff I've been doing away from the computer.
Step away from the computer.
Like mowing grass and weed whacking, getting poison oak.
I was going to say.
No, actually other fun stuff.
'Tis the season. Have you started with your poison oak adventure?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I've got it like three times already. Yeah. There's an insane amount of poison oak here this year. It's like a bumper crop of poison oak.
This is our first real week where we've spent mostly the entire week over 50 degrees.
Oh,
so
we've had a lot of rain this week, which is weird. We thought that spring was over. It really was feeling like summer already, and now we're solidly back into spring. So that's good because it's definitely not summer yet.
Yeah, we're really hoping that we don't go from the winter to jumping right into summer.
Yeah,
because that always sucks.
Yes, especially on the West Coast, drought coast.
But you guys don't have humidity, right? It's dry heat.
We have more humidity here, but yeah,
I know.
It's really dry.
I was kidding.
We have more than we used to have in Southern California, humidity. We've got 30 to 40% here. We're down there. We had very little, but it's still a dry heat.
We get all the humidities here.
Yuck. Gross.